career so who am I and where am I now? I'm a broker and a team leader in San Diego. I run a company called Live Love San Diego Homes. My team is currently about 10 agents, so much smaller than Kevin. I want to be Kevin when I grow up. And it's not about size for the sake of size. It's about having high quality agents and creating an amazing client experience every time. That's what our focus is on. That's what our dialogues we're always talking about. I miss you guys. Are most people on the call, is your team? Is this the Bay Area team, Kevin, or all over the place?
Mainly Bay Area. We have actually have some people in Orange County as well.
Okay, so Bay Area peeps. I actually am a Cal alumni. Go Bears! Do we have any Cal people on the call? Probably at least a few, right? All right, cool. Anyway, so I'm very familiar with San Francisco, familiar with Orange County since I'm in San Diego. Tristan's team, I know LA as well. So my team, 10 agents. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've had all sorts of versions of my team, but when I first started out, there was a few things that I did that directly led to the success that we have today. And there's some habits that I created for myself and some ways that I program my brain. So I'm a big believer that our brains are like computers, and you just fill it with the right code, the right data. You can set your brain up to program it the right way. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we only have 25 minutes, so I don't know how much deeper than that. We might talk lead gen ideas. We might talk online lead conversion. I'm a national speaker for a couple different companies. They fly me around to talk about how to convert online leads. So I spoke at National Association of Realtors, spoke at Inman in San Francisco, actually. So if we want to ask questions or just talk about online lead conversion also, we can do that too.
Why don't we talk about how you got started? How you got into real estate, kind of take us down the path, and then we can kind of get to where you are today. And if there's questions, we can ask questions.
Cool. So I never wanted to be a real estate agent. Like I don't know how you, Kevin, we never had this conversation, but I never like dreamt as a kid of like being a real estate agent. I think very few people have that thought. I've met one, maybe two in my entire career that like knew from a young age, they're like, this is what I'm going to do. Me, I wanted to be a rock star. Like not like a fake rock star, like literally a rock star. Like I play guitar. There's actually a guitar. You can't see in the camera. I've got a guitar behind me. I put out 8-9 albums. I moved to New York City when I was 21, slept on my friends' floors. Like I had a degree in economics. I quit my corporate job in corporate finance, moved to New York City to be a rock star. And I ended up working at MTV. I did marketing for MTV. So a lot of the marketing stuff that I do and love came from a foundation from working for a really progressive company when it comes to marketing. MTV has always been at the forefront of like how to do integrated marketing and things like that. And then my mom, who had always been an entrepreneur, my parents owned various businesses, started working in real estate. They sold their business. She got a real estate license, and for the first 2 years, she did 40 plus deals by herself as a solo agent each year. So wow. Year one, over 40 deals. And then year two, it was her and an assistant, because year one, it wasn't even an assistant, just her alone. Year two, her and an assistant did over 2 deals. This was 2001 or 2. So market was pretty hot then, but even so, like that's pretty good, right?
That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm living in New York, and my mom goes, you should come work with me in real estate. And I was going to get ready to leave New York anyway. So I got my license, took the class online, came back to San Diego, and partnered up with my mom. The reason I tell you this backstory is because I wasn't like this natural real estate guy. I'd always worked in sales. I've done sales since I was 14 years old. My parents used to own an appliance store or a chain of appliance stores. So I used to sell refrigerators, washers, and dryers to, I was 14 years old, and I'd sell this to, 40, 50-year-old housewives, $1,000 piece of appliance. So I guess I do have a background in sales, but it was more through trial and error than any conscious learning. When I got into real estate, I went hardcore into learning everything I could as fast as I could. And I'm going to give you guys one tip that I learned really early on. And Kevin, you probably do this without even knowing it. Maybe you know you do this. Ready? Here's the tip, guys. So write this down. I noticed a pattern in successful agents. And the pattern was this. Every successful agent had a very short period of time from when they decided something was a good idea to when they put it into action. They might analyze it for different amounts of time. Some people don't like doing any analysis. Some people do a little longer analysis. What's the return on my investment when I look at it? But from the moment they decide this is a good idea, they're putting it into action like instantly. Have you noticed that, Kevin?
Oh, absolutely. And I think what you're talking about is implementation, right? And the other part is we can analyze, like I do take a lot of those steps and I do them quickly, but I do analyze a lot, right? But at the end of the day, all of your analysis comes down to one thing: taking a leap of faith. Whether
That's
you're
it.
or not, you're going to have to take a leap of faith. So, whatever it is that we're thinking about doing, like for me, when I first started, it was buying a bunch of leads. Like I went from going from like 20 leads a month to like buying the entire county, like San Francisco, so, and that was a big leap of faith, but, and then it ended up working out. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, it's about implementation. And we do these talks all the time. You and I talk about this stuff, and people talk about it all over. And we talk with the team, is like, there's all these ideas, all these people doing all these different things, but like, you can only put so many notes in your phone before it's time to take a step and actually make a move and start implementing some of the things that we're learning.
Yeah. Have you guys talked about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 action thing?
Tell us.
So there's a whole book on this, and I forget who wrote it. You can Google it. They wrote an entire book, but you don't need to read the book. I can tell you the whole cliff notes of it in the next minute. So if there's something you want to take action on, whether it's a new marketing idea or picking up the phone to prospect, right? Like it literally doesn't matter what it is. Figure out what the smallest step is. Break it down into steps. The smallest step you can take. Count 5. There you go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then take that first smallest step immediately. So let's say it's to prospect, because we do a lot of phone prospecting. Your team does also, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We do a lot of phone prospecting. I have agents join our team here in San Diego. Some of them have some call reluctance, right? Maybe it's because they're just not that extroverted and it's not their thing, or more likely it's because they've had a bad experience previously with prospecting over the phone. And so if you've had some previous bad experiences, it's natural to not be excited to want to get on the phone. By the way, I saw your chat message there, Kevin. Everybody, if you do have questions, please chat them in. Go ahead. So, all right. So here's the thing. What you're trying to accomplish is picking up the phone, and maybe some days you're awesome on the phone, and every once in a while you got some call reluctance, because some days we have days where we're just not on our game, right? So if you're looking at the phone, what do you think the first step is, Kevin, to picking up the phone to prospect?
The first step is to pick up the phone and prospect.
Yeah. So the first step is just to dial a number. So, but you don't have to prospect for 2 hours. The first step starts with dialing a single number. So get your CRMs, or maybe it's even opening your CRM. However, most people I find don't have a problem opening their CRM. They have a problem when they open their CRM, and then they open the MLS, and then they open Zillow, and then they open Facebook, and then they open Twitter, and then they're watching, the sports show. Anyway, you get the point. So if you have your CRM open and you're having a little call reluctance, just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and dial first number. I almost guarantee you, as soon as you dial that first number, the rest of it will all fall into place.
Totally.
And if I'm wrong, well, send me a message. Let me know.
Well, I agree with you. And it's really just to take a matter of taking this first step and doing it. Because once you get into it, like I've had call reluctance too. And, the way to overcome it is just to actually do it, pick up the phone and do it. And accepting the reality that we're going to be dealing with rejection and embarrassment. Like, that's okay. I accept that. I'm good with that. Like, I know that most people are going to slam the door in my face.
And here's where and I rarely push back on Kevin, but here's where I'll push back a little bit, because if you feel like it's rejection and embarrassment, I agree with you. It absolutely could be. However, let's strip away the meaning from those actions, because what is the action that's happening that's making you feel like there's rejection, Kevin?
The actions that are happening? Well, people, let's say somebody hangs up the phone on you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Someone hung up the phone. That is the action. The action is the phone was hung up. Did it actually cause rejection or embarrassment? That is a meaning which you're applying to an action.
Right.
And because our brains are meaning-making machines, you can apply any action you want. What if I said, when they hung up the phone, what if I said, man, I am so grateful that they just saved me from trying to work with a jerk?
Absolutely. And it actually gets you one step closer to a yes. And that's another one.
And I know Kevin and I agree on this. I'm just kind of having fun with it. But like, really, and I'm not saying don't feel rejected, because you're going to have that. It's normal. It's a human emotion. If you feel that way, honor that you have that feeling, right? However, as quick as you can catch yourself feeling that, if you focus on the fact that you're having some embarrassment, you're going to get more embarrassment. If you focus on the fact that Kevin said, every phone call, even a no, gets you to a yes, or I'm consciously working on at every moment, attracting the right clients into my life, right? And so I'm not saying if someone hangs up on me that I'm going to give up, because I am super competitive. I will probably set them up for a call the next day because I take it as a challenge. But anyway, that's just me. You don't have to do that, because if someone's rude to me, I actually take it as a challenge that I want to break them down. And even if I don't book an appointment, I still want to make them, I want to leave the world a better place than I found it. So I'm going to do my best to make them laugh, to break them down. I'm going to set them up for a call maybe even a couple hours from now. Have you ever done this, Kevin? I can't even believe I'm going to admit to this, because I don't want to frustrate people. I want to make them mad. However, if someone hangs up on you, have you ever picked up the phone and called them back again?
Oh, I do it all the time.
I love it. So if you hung up on me, I would call you back and be like, "Oh, hey, Kevin, I think we got disconnected."
Exactly.
And then you just got to make them laugh. You want a quick story you can tell? This is my line to take pissed off people and make them feel better. You want to role play it real quick, Kevin?
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to call you. I can't imagine your buyer leads are all that pissed off. Are they more the seller leads who are getting bombarded, or what type of lead? Expireds? Like, who are they calling that's pissed off?
Expireds or older leads, or.
All right, so let's do expireds. Let's do expireds, because most buyer leads that we buy these days, I rarely get hung up on. Do you agree with that?
The newer leads, yes, but some of the older leads, depending on how long ago it was when you talk to them, sometimes you do get some rejection.
Interesting. So we could dive into that one. So let's dive into that afterwards, because that's actually, is that going to be a useful thing? Because I might have a script that can help flip it for the older lead also.
Yeah,
all right, cool. So let's do the expireds, a pissed off lead. This is the story I tell. You don't have to do this version. I kind of have a certain weird, dorky sense of humor. Take it, make it your own, but this is how I do it. So Kevin, I'm going to call you. You be an expired. So I haven't done expireds in a while. I got to remember my intro script. All right, I got it. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Kevin. It's Jesse with Live Love San Diego. I saw that your home had come off the market. I just wanted to see, are you still thinking about selling it?
Yeah, I've gotten so many calls from agents. I really don't want to talk about it.
And I fully respect that. By the way, can I tell you my theory on real estate agents and the nuclear holocaust?
Excuse me?
Yeah, I have a theory, and it's kind of weird, but bear with me. If there ever was a nuclear disaster, I'm talking about like everyone on the planet destroyed, the only people that I think would be left would be cockroaches and real estate agents. and I'm kidding, but like, imagine if you had to work with these people every day, man. It's crazy, right? So I'm curious. All right. So when I know you're getting all these calls, but like back when you first started, back before all this craziness, what was your original plan?
Well, the original plan was to move to a different town down in Southern California, but we're thinking now, since it didn't sell, that we're probably going to stick around.
Yeah, I totally get that. What's down in Southern California for you?
We just our family, our kids are getting older. We're retiring, so we're gonna move down there. So cool. Slow things down.
I'm gonna pause right here for the sake of time. You get that, right? Yeah. If you can make them laugh, you got them. My whole idea is just break them down, break down the wall, and then ask an open-ended question. And if I respect your design, Kevin, I respect where you're coming from, which was you're pissed off. I want to be pissed off too. I'm not pissed off at you. I'm pissed off with you, right? If you're does your team call a lot of expireds?
Some people do, yeah.
Yeah, I used to love expireds. I was so good at expireds, and I'm not like patting myself on the back. It was a challenge. It was a game. Like if you pick up the phone, I wish I could hear your people talk, but like right now, if you're calling expireds, raise your hand if you've ever had an F-bomb dropped on you within the first 30 seconds of a conversation. I sure have. So I'm giving you permission to go ahead and drop F-bombs back to the client. The difference is you don't drop it at the client, you drop it with the client. If Kevin was even more pissed off, I would have mirrored and matched his energy, but being frustrated along with him at the agent community, not at Kevin. There's a big difference. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Perfect sense. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love that.
All right, let's dive into old leads unless you want to do something else.
Yeah, let's do it.
So tell me a little bit about these old leads and why you're getting hung up on, and what's the story that you hear from the team about old leads?
Let's just say we have leads that we've received a long time ago. Let's say a year old, 6 months old. We have a lot of those leads that we've been working lately, and a lot of times they just haven't heard from anyone. They haven't heard from us. They may not be in the market anymore, or maybe they are, and they just they're getting a call kind of out of nowhere.
Cool. So I wonder, I'm curious what your script is. Do you want to hear my script first, or do you want to tell me what your script is? All right, so my script is this for old leads because let me role play it with you. I don't know my script book here. Hold on, let me pull it up on my. I want to do my exact script word for word for you guys. I mean, I have it internalized, but this is by the way, and I can put it on my screen. This is by the way a good lesson. Even though I've done this for 15 years and I have my script memorized so inside and out, I will still put my script in front of me every single time I role play. Or call leads. Does that make sense, guys?
Let me ask you something about scripts. So the reason why you put the scripts there, is that because are you reading directly word for word off the script, or is that something that you use as a guide? Because I feel like
it's a guide.
Is there as a guide when we're running out of things to talk about, we look at the script, and that's what I always use the script for. You know, yeah. I took the script, I personalized it, and it comes with practice and making enough calls. But once I get to a point where I'm comfortable, I rely on the script as like something to fall back on.
Correct. So I describe it this way. Scripts are like jazz. Are you a jazz fan, Kevin?
A little bit. Not big, not huge, but.
Okay. But I mean, there's other music forms we can use, but jazz is one of the easiest to talk about. Jazz has let's talk about live jazz. If you went to see a live jazz band, every jazz song has a format. You guys have some amazing jazz clubs actually in San Francisco. So some people might be some jazz fans there.
Yep.
There's a format to every jazz song. There's an intro and an outro, right? The beginning and the end. And in between, sometimes they improvise and make it up and it goes totally differently every time. And sometimes it's amazing, sometimes not so good, but like, that's okay. I think scripts are the same way. You got to know your intro and you got to know your close. And in the middle, if you're trying to figure out just how to establish timing and motivation, there is no right way to do it. In fact, some people feel incredibly limited by scripts. In that case, I actually use more of a flow. It's a list of like 100 questions that you can kind of choose your own adventure and pick and choose from in no particular order. So if anybody needs that, Kevin, I can pass it on to you. It's like who, what, when, where. It's 100 questions. You can keep that in front of you. And like any one of those little questions could take you for like 20 minutes. The reason I like a script is because I like to talk a lot. And it makes me inefficient in my prospecting. If I could do it in 5 minutes and book an appointment and make a connection, right, why would I want to spend 20 minutes? Because I'm going to do that in person.
One thing I love about Jesse, guys, is that you gamify everything. Like you gamify everything. Like you were talking about with expires, like you made a game out of it. I want to, it's a challenge. You want to connect with them. You want to kind of break them down. And I find in some ways that worked for me a lot when I was starting out, was gamifying the process, because then it becomes less of like this mental barrier. It's more about like, let's make a game out of it. It's a numbers game. Let's play it. Let's go. Let's do it.
I never thought about it that way, but back to talking about like how I started originally, you're totally right, man. Because I'm not motivated by money. I'm a very strange real estate agent. And there's a lot of us that aren't motivated strictly by money, but like it used to frustrate every coach I've ever had, because I've had a number of coaches, and it used to frustrate pretty much every one of them because they didn't know how to talk to me because I wasn't motivated by money. However, I do like money, and money is a way to keep score in the game I created. That's the way I finally reconciled it. But yeah, I gamify everything. It's got to be fun. I'm motivated by fun. I mean, I'm motivated away from pain, like most people. However, I really do speak in the language of like fun. Yeah. So if you're calling leads, you got to make it fun, make it a challenge, come up with something that you enjoy. And then I use the script. So as I'm going through, want me to share my screen?
Yeah, please.
All right, so let me share the screen. And by the way, anyone who wants this script, I'll give it to Kevin. I'll get it to you guys however you want. Can you see my screen right now?
Yep, can see it.
All right, so what I do, and you can't see my finger, but you can see my cursor. As I'm going through this script, I'm literally moving my finger down it, and I do not do it word for word. You've got to internalize your script so that you can then go back to just having a conversation and listening to your prospect. However, I will still keep my finger there, like Kevin said, because it reminds me where I'm at in the conversation, right? Yep. So this intro is my intro for Realtor.com leads. I will use a different intro right now when we do old leads. So I'm going to take off the screen share so people just can listen to us, but I'll send this out to you guys later.
That'd be awesome.
So I am calling you. You're an old lead. Kevin, ready?
Hello.
I was going to say ring, ring. Sorry, we jumped the gun.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Kevin. It's Jesse from Live Love San Diego. We had connected a while back on your home search here in San Diego. I just want to see, how's the home search going?
It was a long time ago. I'm kind of not really been looking in a while.
Oh, good for you, man. Just curious, what changed?
Well, we just kind of stopped looking around. I mean, we just kind of stopped. I mean, we put in a couple offers. It didn't work out, so we kind of put it on hold.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm curious, was this something for investment or a home you're planning to live in?
It was for a home that we're planning to live in.
Okay. And were you guys looking in any other areas besides Nob Hill?
We were looking at Russian Hill and also Telegraph Hill, as well as North Beach.
Okay, Russian Hill, Telegraph Hill. And what was your original time frame to find a place?
At the time, we were looking to buy something right away, but like I said, it didn't work out. So we're kind of settled in now where we live.
Oh, cool. And do you guys currently rent your home?
Yeah, we're currently renting. Yeah.
Right on. Did you end up re-signing a lease, or what did you guys decide to do?
Yeah, we signed a lease. It's just a 6-month lease. It should be wrapping up in probably a few months now, since it's been a while since we've been looking.
Okay. And you know, I never like to step on anyone's toes. Back when you guys were looking, you said you put in a couple offers. Did you have an agent that you were working with?
We did. We actually we were talking to a couple of different people. We did end up writing an offer with one agent, but we haven't heard from them. So
you haven't heard from them. By the way, I totally get the frustration. Is that a good or a bad thing you haven't heard from that agent?
it's probably a bad thing for them, but
right on, man. So hey, tell me how this sounds. And I realize that you're frustrated and you put the search on hold. You got your 6 months lease, so there's no pressure or rush right now. But I'm just curious. At some point in time, when you do get ready to look again, tell me if you think this sounds helpful. One of the things we specialize in is helping to break down the process step by step. So in addition to everything in the MLS, we have some really unique strategies to find off-market properties that are very different than what most agents do, right? I don't know what your previous agents tried or did, but there's just some pretty unique strategies you can go into to help you find things that might have solved some of this frustration. More importantly, we could actually go over, what to do and the mistakes to avoid, so next time you don't end up getting as frustrated. Does that sound helpful for you?
yeah, actually, that sounds pretty good. You have off-market stuff, yeah.
Yeah. All right. When's a good time to get together with you and your wife? Are days or evenings better for you guys?
Probably evenings.
Okay. Today is Friday. You want to do something? We could do either tonight at 6 or you want to do tomorrow at 7.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm ready to meet just yet.
Okay. And I totally respect that. Here's the deal. First of all, it doesn't cost anything to get together, right?
Yeah.
And there's zero obligation or pressure for me to buy a house. I realize you have a lease for 6 months, right? And I realize that it might not even be another year or 2 years before you buy. It doesn't matter to me whether it's 1 week, 1 year, or 10 years. What I found, though, is the clients we work with, the more you can get educated yourself early on in the process, the easier it goes when you actually are ready. So I guess the first question would be, if you found a house that was a smoking deal on an off-market property now, would you be open to breaking your lease?
If it was the right deal and we were able to find the place that we want, then yeah, possibly.
Okay.
I mean, as long as I'm not losing money at the end of the day.
Yeah, losing money is the opposite of what anybody wants to do, right?
Right.
Let's make a plan to not lose money. I agree with you there. So let's do this. Since if you found the right house and do you guys have kids, by the way, or is it just you and your wife?
Yeah, we do. We have kids.
How many kids you guys have?
2.
Right on. Okay, so if we could find the right house for you, your wife, and your 2 kids, and it was a really good deal, since you would actually consider getting out of your lease, at the same time, knowing that I'm not promising you a magic bullet. I can't say this house exists. However, we either find you something awesome now, or you get ready to get ready. You ever heard that phrase? We're going to get ready to get ready. So that way, 6 months from now, you'll actually be in a position where it's not a scramble. You can spend the next 6 months to kind of leisurely do your thing. It'll take some of the pressure off you and your wife that you're not kind of stressed about what do we do next. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And let's break it down. In addition, if your big concern is that you don't lose money, let's take a look and see, does it even make sense for you to buy at all in the next couple of years? It might not make sense to buy at all, but you don't know that until you really get educated on all the facts. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay.
So cool. Let's get together. You want to do, did we say tonight at 6 or tomorrow at 7?
We'll do tomorrow. Tomorrow's
okay,
good.
Cool. So tomorrow at 7, and will your wife be able to be there at 7 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And let's see here. So is this your cell number I'm talking to you on, by the way?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to send you an email with all the details, but I'm also going to send you a text with my contact card. Go ahead and save it in your phone. And if anything comes up between now and 7 o'clock tomorrow, give me a buzz and we'll reschedule. Sound good?
Okay, cool. Sounds
Hey,
good.
by the way, am I meeting you, or do you want to meet at your place or want to meet at the Starbucks down the street?
Starbucks is good.
All right, cool. Blah, blah, blah. See you then. Bye.
Like it, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
So it looks like we have a question.
Let's do it. We got 1 minute.
What paid online lead sources would you recommend, and what free lead sources are worth pursuing?
I love Realtor.com leads for paid lead sources. Do you buy Realtor.com leads, Kevin?
Yeah.
I've been told that
We
Zillow.
did a lot before. We're not buying as many as we did before, but we still have some.
Where does your paid lead sources, that are the old ones, where do they come from? Are they commissions?
Realtor.com.
Where are they from?
The old ones are Realtor.com.
Okay, I think old leads are just as good as new leads, by the way. So in terms of paid lead sources, if you've got a database of old leads, go work those, because these people, the ones who didn't buy, are really good prospects.
The old leads real quick is when people with new leads, because those leads are being bombarded by agents, those leads are not exclusive, right? So these people are clicking on property. Yes, those are good leads, but they're getting hit by lots of different agents, right? The older leads, those are people that are not being contacted anymore, because after like a week, agents are no longer following up. So those are great opportunities to reach out and connect with people. Looks like we have another question here from Nat.
I'm going to finish, Justin. So free lead sources, open houses. I don't know if they work in San Francisco, but I'm pretty sure they work everywhere, because I have friends in New York City that crush it with open houses. That's my favorite free lead source ever. If you do open houses right, they're the best free lead source. Other paid lead sources, I've heard some people saying Zillow is just as good as Realtor, and PPC leads, Google and Facebook, are actually really good. You just have to incubate those for a little longer. That's why I was asking if you had a database of old pay-per-click generated leads.
We have a database of all different kinds of leads.
Yeah, guys, go work those leads. I'm telling you, if you have the right script and you get them to open up, they didn't not buy a house because they didn't want to buy a house. They didn't stop looking because exactly what Kevin just did. He got frustrated, but he really still wants to buy a house. So when you break it down, you get on their level and you take away the pressure, you're going to end up getting a new client who loves you and go sell them a house. Yep. Nash, real quick, I was wondering how you got started bank-owned properties. Do you mean how I got started being the listing agent on the bank-owned properties?
I mentioned DS Pros, so yeah.
Yeah, so this is a topic for a whole nother call that I will happily get on with you guys again at some point, but it's all through who you know. So the bank-owned stuff, I started traveling to conferences. I started traveling around the country. I spent 4 years kind of living out of a suitcase early on in my relationship with my now wife. She was my girlfriend then. She supported what I was doing. And I just went and became a professional friend maker. And the people I made friends with happened to work for banks. They're called asset managers. And they happen to be able to send me 25, 30, 40 houses a year to sell. So you make one friend, they send you 40 houses to sell. It's a pretty darn good friend. So that's the short story of where that came from.
Awesome. Yeah. Any other questions, guys, before we wrap it up? We just hardly scratched the surface. I mean, we did 2 role play calls. I mean, there's so much more that we can talk about. It's just obviously time is limiting us. But Jesse, thank you so much for spending the time with us. I'd love to have you back on.
Absolutely. Can I leave people with one thought? Because this is the one thing I wanted to get to for early on. So back to when I was first starting out, and I don't care where you are in your career right now, guys. I don't care if you've been an agent for 1 week or 10 years or 20 years, right? If your mindset isn't right, you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish. So I used to program my brain on a daily basis by using affirmations. And I know, Kevin, you talk about affirmations, right? So I don't care what your affirmation is. Figure out what you need to work on and just start programming yourself. So I used to do things around prospecting. I used to do things around, I have an affirmation I've used for years and years. And I used to write it down. I used to say it out loud, and I would play loud music and I'd get myself all pumped up before I was going to do prospecting. And I'd put myself into state, like Tony Robbins talks about being in state. And my affirmation was, I'm a creative, problem-solving, solution-oriented machine. I'm a creative, solution-oriented, problem-solving machine. And I'd say this all the time, over and over and over again. I'd write it out. I'd put it everywhere, in my car, in my mirror, where I'm brushing my teeth. And the more I ingrain this into my head, it's just how I lived. And when you take that to prospects, they feel that genuine energy. I really think if you just program your brain and everything else is going to fall into place. That's the thought I'd leave everybody with.
That's awesome. And one last thing, Jesse, I know you're big on reading books.
Ooh.
Any recommendations that you can give us on books? I know you mentioned the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you have a
Yeah.
couple you can share with us.
Yeah. My favorite book these days, I'm only halfway through it, but it's amazing in the first 2 chapters. So 2 books. Number 1, The Like Switch. Have you guys talked about The Like Switch yet?
No, but we're going to start talking about it.
It is written by have you read it?
No.
Dude, I'm listening to it right now. It's so good. It is written by Jack Schaefer. He is an ex-FBI ex-FBI recruiter. He would recruit spies. He would recruit assets for them. And I used to think you couldn't train someone to be likable. You can. You can't make them amazing if they're a total idiot, but like you can improve your likability. And this book has scientific techniques that are duplicatable systems on how to increase your likability and how to be friends with anybody.
Wow.
It's really, really cool.
It sounds like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
It's exactly like that, but more scientific. It's a lot more like, it's kind of new school versus, I mean, I love the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That has a lot of actionable stuff. This is even more like nerdy and more like this. Watch my face, guys. That's a friend sign. See my eyebrows? That is a subtle signal that tells people that like, I'm not a threat, right? And it flies beneath the radar of people's actual awareness. So that like Dale Carnegie never got that nerdy, right?
That's cool though. I love that.
Yeah, like this with your chin. That signal, also that's a friend signal. These are things like, check this book out. And if you don't get hooked in the first 2 chapters, quit real estate. No, I'm kidding. The other book, I'll send you a link to, Kevin. Have I sent you Creating Sales Velocity?
No.
This is my.
We talked about it though. We talked about it.
So this is my absolute favorite sales book ever. It's actually the anti-sales book. It's kind of the opposite of most sales book. I have read it or listened to it at least 5 times. No, sorry. I've read it 5 times. I've listened to it a total probably about 14 times in my career. Anytime I get the least bit down on sales, I re-listen to this book. It's written by Matthew Ferry, who's Tom Ferry's brother. He's like the woo-woo hippie brother. And it talks about getting out of your own way and letting magic happen when connecting with your clients. And just like, it's such a cool book. I actually require everyone who joins our team in San Diego, I require them to at least read or listen to the beginning of this book and see if they like it before they join the team, because otherwise they're probably not going to fit with what we do. It's a very client-centric book. So I'll send you a link to that as well as a script. Feel free, it's an audio book and a PDF. I have that. Just feel free to pass it out to your team.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
No worries. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, everyone. Take care. All right, bye-bye.